There would be others, more informed than I on that. But my impression is that there are a number of sites in the Hanoi area where we've had reports, so that.
When was the decision made that this was going to be the place?
Let me defer that to Senator Kerry. What'll be happening in the next 2 months? It's obviously not an easy transition for the Vietnamese, and it's obviously essential for Americans to have confidence that there are not Americans being held.
There's not a whole lot there except for the fact that we get into this place, some major breakthrough to test whether the system's working, and obviously getting this far is further than anybody would have gotten before.
Yeah. Are you a little disappointed, though, that you didn't get as far as maybe you thought you might?
Well, yeah, but we aren't done yet. They're making a call to the foreign minister, and hopefully having him intervene, and then the 5 senators can go in.
Oh, good. Good.
At least it's just in here to the right and down there, I guess, is all that we've got to check on. But
conditions. Senator Brown said that this place would never pass inspection in any United States prison.
It would not. No. The Civil Liberties Union would have the state and the municipality and the county and in jail and with a big tort liability. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, at lunch, I talked with the foreign minister about problems that do arise in terms of the interpretation of instructions, and there are people at lower levels who don't always hear what they're being told or don't want to or various other things. And change comes slowly in different quarters. I think that's true anywhere. But I'm convinced that the foreign minister, the minister of interior, the defense minister, and Dormoy want us to be able to have this kind of access, and I'm convinced it will happen.
Again, without divulging the sources, give me an idea of what you knew about this place ahead of time that made you want to come here.
Well, we knew that this was an active prison. We knew that it was a prison of the Ministry of the Interior, a central prison of the SRV government. We had reports indicating that Americans were held in this area during the war, and also some commandos were held here in the early 60s. We have also received reports indicating that some foreigners were held here after Operation Homecoming. The American PWs that we believe that were held here until Operation Homecoming were actually captured in South Vietnam and moved here, but released in 1973. They were never moved into the Hanoi prison system that we know of, and at the time of their release in 1973, they were taken from this prison and moved to Gia Lam Airport, where they were released by the Provisional Revolutionary Government.
The sketches, can you tell me where the sketch came from, or give me an idea of was that a key piece of the intelligence for this place?
Well, the sketches are always important because they can verify whether or not it's the same specific facility that the individual has reported to us. And in this case, the sketches are almost exactly, they almost exactly match the outlay of the prison interior.
Your intelligence indicated that there had been Americans held here. When you asked that question upstairs with the prison major, did you already know the answer to it before you asked it? Was that part of the test?
No, this was not a test. We didn't ask that question. The Senate Select Committee did. The reply that they received was based on their opinion that they were inquiring about prisoners that were held after the war. And the prisoners that we knew are fairly certain that were held here before Operation Homecoming, up until Operation Homecoming.
The senators are very pleased that this has all come about. You've been working on this project for years now. Is it a relief to finally be able to have access to places like this?
We have been granted access to prisons before, but only at the province level. And to my knowledge, this is the first time that we've been allowed into a prison of the central government.
So this is progress as far as you're concerned?
I think if the Senate Select Committee was not here and if they didn't make a request at the very highest levels of the Vietnamese government, I doubt if we would be allowed access into this prison.
Do you think the access will continue after the senators leave?
I hope so. We're very optimistic on that point.
That's right. Dated.
This guy. You guys looked at him. He was here with John Paul Van through the entire war, living all alone with divisions of Vietnamese and Southern Booties. You know, a lot of combat, a lot of experience. Knows this country as well as anybody. What do you think? It's a piece of work. It's a piece of work.
I appreciate this last bit too.
This guy.
Was the Neil Sheehan account of John Paul Van accurate?
Oh yes, I think it was beautifully done. Beautifully.
How you doing this morning? Hey, Bob. How are you? You all right? Yeah, man.
There you go. All right. Did you want to talk quickly with us before, or what is your schedule?
Well, I have to get back here by 4. So.
We're ready to find out. Terry? What time do you think we'll be back? Depends on us. There's no guarantee we're going to be back.
I would say you should be back. Certainly give yourself an hour before Dave sunset. 4 or 5 o'clock.
We should be back when?
I think you should be back between 4 and 5 o'clock. To get close to 6, you're allowed to get in darkness now.
Well, I want to get back around then if I can. It's your call. She has a plane at 6 o'clock. I do not want to feel, you know, and we don't want to feel pressure. Right. It's your call. My advice to you would be that, you know, probably not sure you really have to come back. All right?
I have a group to go on Washington City, right?
Yes. We have a group, Senator Grassley, and...
How have you been?
Excuse me.
No, not at all.
You're old friends.
No, just met. Just met.
How are you?
Just great. Just great.
Trip agreeing with you so far?
Oh, it's been fascinating.
Wonderful thing for you to do.
Yeah, we're really excited.
You're going down to the Delta this morning.
And our Richard Weinstein's going
Yep.
here.
Richard and I chatted upstairs.
He's very good.
You seem willing to listen to old war stories. And,
Were you stationed out of Da Nang?
spent a year in Da Nang. Spent a year or two before that flying in and out of VR squadron. Spend my time up in Idaho.
Right. I got up there quite a few times. Basically, I was assigned to the Delta More and to some special programs nationwide.
What do you think so far? What have you learned?
Well, I think yesterday was a real breakthrough. You've got a better basis to judge.
I agree, Senator.
From my thought, you've got a complete change of policy. And I think it'll quickly resolve the issue. If you have access to the country like you promised, we'll be able to put to bed all those life-citing reports in a quick period of time. You'll either find somebody or you'll be able to say there isn't anybody in any of the locations they've been reporting. It'll totally change relationships within 3 or 4 months.
Do you have any idea why they're changing their mind?
My guess is every manufacturer that comes in here, from Malaysia, Hong Kong, Taiwan, says, we'd love to build a plant here. We have a production line that we sell part of it in the United States. And as soon as the embargo is finished, we'll build a plant here. My guess is they've heard that from dozens of them. But they can't produce products that are eventually sold in the U.S. until that embargo is finished. They literally have hundreds of millions of investments waiting to come into this country based on the end of the embargo. They know there's no way the embargo will end until they satisfy the few different questions. So I think it's all come together right now.
Yeah, I've been to Asia.
No, she's with Vietnamese television.
Okay.
Hi, Senator Jim Mills.
Yeah, I saw you taking some pictures.
This thing's rolling, so be aware of it. What have you, we asked you what you learned so far?
Well, I'll tell you, the most promising of all the meetings we had, I think, was yesterday with the General Secretary, in the sense that he appeared to be the only official, and maybe the only official that matters, that answered every one of our questions. Are the points we wanted to make, the things we want to carry out, the benchmarks we want to use to see that progress is being made, that were fully cooperative and didn't seem to have the so-called party line, you know. The first day of meetings with the foreign minister, etc., were kind of disappointing, but the one with the General Secretary yesterday, if he carries that out in spirit, as he stated it to us, I think it'll be very successful. If it does materialize, and very quickly materialize, and I think our visit to that prison yesterday was probably an example of a show of good faith. I mean, to me, that flies in the face of all sovereignty that people would normally maintain for an independent nation, and if they're willing to let us go any place we want to go, that shows about as good faith as anything that can be shown.
Where were you during the Vietnam War?
I was, Vietnam, I'm 58 years old. I'm Korean War. I was in, the legislature and farming, you know.
So is this your first trip to this part of the world?
Not to this part of the world. I've been to Taiwan, Korea, and Japan. And then to, of course, the Middle East, but not in between. This is the first time I've been in the vast space between. It's really quite a country.
What was your impression of North Hanoi?
You mean you're talking about just the countryside? And well, I think extreme poverty, but I think that you see the entrepreneurship of people in the little shops and everything. I think it's got great potential.
Did you hear much about socialism and communism and ideology?
No, I did not. It all appeared to me to be more practical approach. I wouldn't be surprised, they obviously couldn't say this, but I wouldn't be surprised that they have been forced to, because of less aid coming from Russia, that they've been forced to review, how their own system works, and to be more practical, I would presume. And they may even sense a necessity to do that other than just economy for their own power position, because they see the other communist systems falling apart. And obviously, if they want to preserve theirs, they're going to have to make sure they make some changes.
Do you get any sense of how they feel about Americans in general?